A deadly secret, Tracy uncovers the truth behind Monica's will and Ronnie's shocking death. The Quartermain mansion has always been more than just a house. It's a symbol of power, legacy, and family heritage. But when Tracy Quartermain made a startling discovery about her late mother Monica's will, everything the family thought they knew shattered like glass. What began as a simple matter of inheritance soon spiraled into something far more sinister: fraud, deception, and ultimately, murder. The will that changed everything. Tracy had always been meticulous about family affairs, a trait inherited from decades of navigating the complex Quartermain empire. When she decided to carefully review Monica's final will and testament, she expected to find everything in order. After all, Monica had been thorough about her affairs, and everything should have been documented with the precision the Quartermains demanded. But what Tracy discovered made her blood run cold. The official will, the one that had been presented to the family, was not Monica's true final will. According to the authentic document, the Quartermain mansion, that jewel of Port Charles real estate, had never been intended for Ronnie. The thought that had seemed settled was suddenly open and burning with questions. "This doesn't make any sense," Tracy muttered to herself, her hands trembling slightly as she held the papers. She immediately began cross-referencing documents, comparing signatures, dates, and every detail. The more she investigated, the clearer the picture became. Someone had orchestrated an elaborate deception to alter Monica's final wishes. Ronnie exposed, the con artist among them. As Tracy dug deeper into the mystery, the pieces began falling into place with terrible clarity. Ronnie, someone who had positioned herself within the Quartermain circle, was not who she had claimed to be. The woman was a con artist, a sophisticated operator who had managed to infiltrate the family's innermost circles and convince them of her legitimacy. But there was more. Tracy's investigation revealed that Ronnie had already set her sights on her next victim. Drew. The mansion, the prize that had been stolen through deception, was now being prepared for sale. Ronnie had been in negotiations with Drew to sell the Quartermain estate, and from what Tracy could gather, the deal was nearly complete. She was planning to walk away with millions, Tracy realized, her voice barely above a whisper when she finally pieced together the full scope of the scheme. A fortune built on lies, constructed through forged documents and manipulated family members. It was the kind of crime that demanded justice. The call that should have changed everything. Tracy knew what she had to do. The evidence was undeniable, the crime too serious to ignore. She picked up her phone and made the call that would set everything in motion. She contacted the Port Charles Police Department. "I need to report a fraud," she told the officer who answered, her voice steady and authoritative. "A significant estate fraud involving forged documents and an unauthorized property sale. The woman involved is named Ronnie, and she's in the process of completing a major financial transaction using documents that are not legitimate." The police took the matter seriously. Within hours, they began their investigation, tracking down Ronnie and preparing to bring charges. This was exactly what needed to happen. Justice was finally within reach. The family had been betrayed, Monica's true wishes had been violated, and someone needed to be held accountable. But when the police arrived to apprehend Ronnie, they made a discovery that changed everything about the case. The body in the mansion. The officers found Ronnie dead. The property transaction had already been completed. The paperwork was finalized. The Quartermain mansion now legally belonged to Drew, or at least, that's what all the documents indicated. But before anyone could determine how Ronnie's death fit into the larger puzzle, the sale had become official. The money had exchanged hands. The deed had been transferred. Tracy stood in stunned silence as the police delivered the news. The woman who had orchestrated the fraud, who had stolen from Monica's estate and deceived the family, was dead. And now, the mansion, the very property that had been stolen, had passed into Drew's ownership through a completed sale. Drew's defense. When Tracy confronted Drew about the circumstances, he was remarkably composed. Perhaps too composed, though Tracy couldn't quite accuse him of wrongdoing without solid evidence. "Tracy, I had no idea what Ronnie was doing, Drew said, his voice steady and measured. When I was approached about purchasing the mansion, I did my due diligence. The woman presented me with documentation that appeared legitimate. The title seemed clear. The sale was handled through proper legal channels. But you must have known something was wrong, Tracy pressed, her suspicions evident in her tone. I didn't, Drew replied firmly. Once the transaction was complete, I have no reason to harm anyone. Why would I? The property was already mine. The deal was done. As for Ronnie's death, he paused, meeting Tracy's eyes directly. I had nothing to do with it, and frankly, I have no motive to kill someone after a real estate transaction has been finalized. Tracy wanted to push harder to find some crack in his story, some indication of guilt. But the more she examined his reasoning, the more she realized he had a point. Drew's motivation had ended the moment the sale was complete. From a logical standpoint, killing Ronnie after getting what he wanted made no sense. The property was already legally his. The shadowy organization. As Tracy stepped back and reconsidered all the pieces of the puzzle, a far more sinister possibility emerged from the shadows. What if Ronnie wasn't working alone? What if she was just a pawn in a much larger game? One orchestrated by forces far more powerful than a simple con artist could command. There has to be someone else involved, Tracy realized. Someone who set this entire thing in motion. Someone who used Ronnie as a tool. The realization sent a chill down her spine. Whoever had orchestrated the fraud through Ronnie, whoever had forced the forged documents into Monica's will, they had a far greater interest in the outcome than simple money. Otherwise, why kill Ronnie after the transaction was complete? Unless Ronnie had become a liability, a woman who knew too much, who had evidence of the conspiracy, who could potentially expose the real architects of the scheme if given immunity, or if she was facing serious prison time. They killed her to silence her, Tracy whispered to herself, to make sure she could never testify against whoever was really behind this. The unanswered questions. As Tracy stood in the foyer of what was no longer the Quartermain family's ancestral home, she was left with more questions than answers. The mansion had been stolen through fraud. The property had changed hands in a completed sale, and the primary suspect in the fraud was now dead. Ronnie was gone, silenced permanently. Drew maintained his innocence, and his logic was difficult to counter. The police investigated the death, but without clear evidence connecting anyone to the crime, the case would be difficult to prosecute. But Tracy knew the truth. This wasn't over. Somewhere in Port Charles, there was an organization, a shadowy group, with the resources, the connections, and the ruthlessness to orchestrate something of this magnitude. They had used Ronnie as a tool, gotten what they wanted, and then eliminated her to cover their tracks. The Quartermain mansion now belonged to Drew, purchased with money that had come from a fraudulent transaction. Monica's true will lay in Tracy's hands, evidence of a crime that had been carefully executed and left her with no clear path to justice. This isn't finished, Tracy muttered, her determination hardening even as her frustration grew. Whoever was behind this, I will find them. In the world of Port Charles, where secrets hide behind every mansion door and wealth often comes at the cost of moral compromise, one thing was certain: the death of Ronnie was not the end of this story. It was merely the beginning of something far darker, something that would demand every ounce of Tracy Quartermain's considerable intelligence and determination to uncover. The mansion stood silent, a monument to deception, and somewhere in its walls lay the echoes of a conspiracy waiting to be exposed. Next, we will learn about the escalating family tensions surrounding young James West's potential disappearance and how Nathan West's dramatic return could upend everything in Port Charles. In the intricate web of relationships that defines General Hospital, few storylines tug at the heartstrings quite like the ongoing custody battle over James West, the bright-eyed toddler caught between two devoted father figures. Spoilers tease that James might soon vanish from the safety of his familiar surroundings, sparking a frantic search that thrusts Nathan West back into the hero's spotlight and forces everyone to confront long-buried emotions. This isn't just a simple case of a child wandering off, it's a pivotal moment that could redefine family bonds, highlighting the raw vulnerability of parenthood in a town rife with secrets and second chances. Imagine the quiet mornings at the Scorpio home turning into chaos as James's absence sends ripples through the lives of those who love him most, underscoring how fragile these connections truly are. Damien Spinelli, the tech-savvy genius who's always been more than just an uncle to James, finds himself grappling with an unprecedented emotional turmoil as he clings to his role as the boy's primary guardian. For years, Spinelli has poured his heart into raising James alongside Maxie's daughters, treating the little one with the tenderness of his own flesh and blood. From bedtime stories filled with hacker adventures to playful coding lessons disguised as games, he's envisioned a future where James grows up surrounded by his sister's laughter and the stability of their shared home, a sanctuary away from the dangers that have plagued Port Charles time and again. Yet, with Nathan's resurrection shaking up the status quo, Spinelli's protective instincts clash against the undeniable pull of biological ties, leaving him torn between selfless love and a quiet fear of losing the family unit he's so meticulously built. This internal conflict adds layers to Spinelli's character, revealing a man who's not just a sidekick, but a pillar of quiet strength, now tested by the unpredictable tides of fate. Enter Nathan West, the once-lost detective whose miraculous comeback has already stirred whispers throughout the Quartermain mansion and beyond. Now poised to claim his rightful place in James's life with a mix of gentle determination and unspoken longing. Though Nathan has approached the situation with measured restraint perhaps, mindful of the scars his absence left on Maxie and the kids, he's clearly yearning to step up, envisioning lazy afternoons teaching James about justice and bravery, or simple evenings sharing stories of his adventures as a cop. He's not one to bulldoze his way in. Instead, Nathan dreams of earning trust through small victories, like attending school events or helping with homework, gradually weaving himself into the fabric of James's daily world. This subtle shift in dynamics promises heartfelt scenes where Nathan's eyes light up at James's innocent questions, reminding viewers why this father-son duo deserves their shot at redemption amid the soap's signature drama. As the calendar flips to November 5th, General Hospital teases a wave of profound relief washing over Spinelli and Felicia's Scorpio, a stark contrast that hints at a harrowing family emergency unfolding just prior, one that tests loyalties and exposes hidden fears. Picture Felicia, ever the resilient Scorpio matriarch, pacing the living room with worry etched on her face, her detective instincts kicking in as she coordinates searches while comforting a distraught Spinelli. This relief doesn't come without cost. It's the aftermath of heart-pounding moments where every clock tick amplifies the panic, drawing in allies like Max Scorpio for backup and even pulling in unexpected Quartermain resources. The build-up to this catharsis could involve tearful confessions and frantic phone calls, emphasizing how crises in Port Charles often serve as catalysts for growth, turning adversaries into united fronts overnight. At the center of this storm is James himself, the adventurous taught with a knack for slipping away at the most inopportune times, his curiosity leading him into scenarios that leave his loved ones in a state of utter desperation. We've seen James's wandering habit before, those nail-biting episodes where his tiny footsteps echo through empty parks or unfamiliar streets, each one a reminder of his innocent spirit, unbound by the world's cautions. This time around, the spoilers suggest a more personal motive. James, sensing the emotional undercurrents at home, might deliberately seek out Nathan, driven by an intuitive pull toward the father he's heard stories about in hushed tones. Envision the touching reveal where James, safe but smudged from his escapade, tugs at Nathan's coat and declares with wide-eyed sincerity that he just wanted daddy time, melting hearts and mending fences in one fell swoop. Such a scenario not only humanizes James, but amplifies the theme of innate family connections transcending time and distance. Alternatively, the plot could pivot to Nathan taking proactive charge, catching wind of James's disappearance through an urgent call from Felicia or a tip from a street-savvy informant, propelling him into action with the precision of his law enforcement days. Racing through Port Charles's foggy docks or bustling Kelly's diner, Nathan's search would showcase his unwavering resolve, dodging obstacles like sudden rainstorms or misleading clues to track down his son. Upon locating James, perhaps huddled in a playground hideout or trailing a stray cat, Nathan's triumphant rescue would be a game-changer, earning him invaluable goodwill from the skeptical Spinelli, who might witness the reunion from afar and feel a pang of reluctant admiration. This heroic arc wouldn't just boost Nathan's standing, it could spark deeper dialogues about shared parenting, where boundaries blur and compromises emerge from the ashes of anxiety. No matter the path taken, this vanishing act is bound to prompt Spinelli into a profound reevaluation of his guardianship, as the sight of Nathan cradling James ignites realizations about the irreplaceable void left by a biological parent's absence. Spinelli, ever the analytical mind, might spend sleepless nights poring over family photos and journals, weighing the benefits of stability against the richness of heritage, ultimately conceding that James deserves the full spectrum of his lineage. This shift could accelerate plans for James to split time between homes, introducing new routines like weekend visits to Nathan's modest apartment, filled with model police cars and tales of bravery. Such developments would enrich the narrative, exploring themes of co-parenting in a blended family, complete with awkward co-parenting meetings at the floating rib that evolve into genuine alliances. Looking further ahead, James's safety hangs in a precarious balance as whispers of peril lurk in the shadows of Nathan's unfolding enigma, potentially drawing the boy into a web of intrigue that spans from corporate espionage to personal vendettas. If Nathan's return ties into larger mysteries like unresolved cases from his past or threats from shadowy figures in Port Charles, James could unwittingly become a target, his innocent outings turning perilous with anonymous warnings or suspicious tales. Invent a twist where a seemingly harmless playdate exposes clues to Nathan's secrets, forcing the family to rally with heightened security measures. From GPS trackers on strollers to Spinelli's custom surveillance apps, this escalation adds thriller elements to the soap, blending domestic drama with suspense, and keeps viewers guessing about alliances that might fracture under pressure. Britt Westburn's initial unease over Nathan rekindling his bond with James speaks volumes, hinting at buried secrets or looming dangers that could jeopardize the entire West lineage in ways no one anticipates. As a woman who's navigated her own share of betrayals and health scares, Britt's apprehension might stem from insider knowledge of Nathan's risky pursuits, perhaps a covert investigation into a Port Charles syndicate that endangers loved ones. Delve deeper. Imagine Britt confronting Nathan in a tense hospital corridor, her sharp wit masking genuine concern as she warns him of the fallout, only for him to brush it off with optimistic resolve. Her perspective enriches the story, portraying her as a fierce protector whose cynicism is rooted in hard-earned wisdom, potentially leading to redemptive arcs where she aids in safeguarding James. As Nathan's cryptic narrative promises a barrage of unexpected twists, from shocking revelations about his time away to alliances with unlikely players like Sonny Corinthos, fans are in for a roller coaster of emotions that will keep Port Charles buzzing. These curveballs could involve DNA surprises, long-lost relatives surfacing, or ethical dilemmas that pit Nathan's duty against his family, all while James's wide-eyed wonder provides grounding innocence. Next, we will learn about the issue of Michael Corinthos' dangerous flirtation with the enigmatic Jacinda Bracken, a move that could unravel his entire carefully constructed facade in Port Charles. In the shadowy underbelly of Port Charles, Michael Corinthos is weaving a web of charm around Jacinda Bracken, the sharp-witted former escort who's just stepped away from her high-stakes lifestyle. Viewers are buzzing with speculation as Michael's smooth words and intense gazes paint a picture of potential romance, leaving many to wonder if this is a genuine spark or merely a calculated ploy to secure her silence. Jacinda, with her poised demeanor and quick smile, appears utterly captivated by his attention, hanging on to every whispered promise and shared glance during their clandestine meetings at the floating rib. Yet, beneath her polished exterior lies a fierce protectiveness, She's no stranger to betrayal, having navigated treacherous waters in her past career where trust was a luxury few could afford. If Michael oversteps or reveals his true intentions too abruptly, Jacinda's dormant rage could erupt like a storm over the harbor, turning her from ally to adversary in an instant. Imagine her channeling that pent-up fury perhaps by leaking fragments of their conversations to the wrong ears, or worse, aligning with those already suspicious of Michael's motives. His gamble feels precarious, especially as whispers of his involvement in Drew Kane's shooting linger like fog, and one wrong move could drag him into a maelstrom of legal troubles and family fallout. Jacinda's allure isn't just skin deep. She's a survivor who's reinvented herself multiple times. From her days dodging scandals in elite circles to her recent bid for normalcy in a quiet apartment overlooking the docks, Michael, ever the strategist from his Quartermain upbringing, is deploying every tactic in his arsenal lavish dinners at Metrocourt. Thoughtful gifts like a custom necklace echoing her taste for understated elegance, and late-night confessions that skirt the edges of truth without crossing into full disclosure. He's banking on her belief that he couldn't have pulled the trigger on Drew that fateful evening, a narrative he's spun with such conviction that even skeptics might pause. But Jacinda isn't naive. During a tense exchange in his sleek penthouse, she pressed him on the inconsistencies, her eyes narrowing as she noted the way he evaded details about his whereabouts. She senses he's shielding a deeper secret, perhaps tied to his fierce loyalty toward Willow or unresolved grudges against those who wronged his family. Michael, sensing the fragility, doubles down on the romance angle, suggesting weekend getaways to the countryside where they could escape the city's prying eyes. Still, time is not on his side. Every day she stays silent is a victory. But the pressure mounts as Port Charles' intricate web of alliances begins to constrict around them both. Complicating matters further is the unlikely duo of Nina Reeves and Drew Kane, whose combined influence could shatter Michael's house of cards with ruthless efficiency. Nina, the indomitable force behind Crimson Magazine, has always been a master of persuasion, her history of corporate takeovers and personal vendettas making her a formidable foe. Drew, fresh from his own brush with danger and harboring suspicions about the shooting that nearly claimed his life, brings a military precision to their partnership, analyzing every angle like a chess grandmaster. Together, they're plotting in dimly lit corners of Kelly's diner, piecing together timelines that point uncomfortably close to Michael. Their strategy? To corner Jacinda with an offer to tempting to refuse financial security, perhaps a cushy relocation package far from Port Charles drama, or even insider access to Nina's fashion empire that aligns with Jacinda's emerging interests in design. Picture Nina, with her signature red lipstick and steely gaze, sliding across a velvet lined envelope during a casual coffee meetup, promising Jacinda a life free from the shadows of her escort days. Drew chimes in with appeals to justice, recounting the shooting's chaos in vivid detail to evoke sympathy and doubt. If Jacinda wavers, it could expose not just Michael's alibi, but ripple out to implicate others, like Sonny's underground dealings or Carly's divided loyalties, creating a domino effect across the canvas community. Michael's bold decision to entangle Jacinda with Nina reeks of overconfidence, a classic Corinthos misstep born from years of navigating family feuds. By maneuvering her into the role of Nina's personal assistant at Crimson framed as a fresh start with flexible hours and creative input, he aimed to keep her close while twisting the knife in his ex-mother-in-law's side. The irony is delicious. Jacinda, now sorting through fabric swatches and editorial schedules in Nina's opulent office, is a constant reminder of Michael's meddling. But this proximity is a double-edged sword. Every shared elevator ride or brainstorming session gives Nina ammunition to probe Jacinda's loyalties. Shortly after Michael's departure from that initial setup meeting, Nina launched her offensive, her voice dripping with Fox concern as she outlined the perks of spilling the beans. Exclusive perks like a stake in the magazine or connections to high-profile designers Jacinda admires. Jacinda, surprisingly steadfast in that moment, rebuffed the bribe with a cool retort about honoring her word, her background in high-pressure negotiations giving her the edge. Yet, as Drew joins the fray, their tag team approach intensifies. Joint strategy sessions where they dissect Jacinda's body language from afar, predicting her breaking point. Will her resolve crumble under the weight of their persistence, or does she harbor her own hidden agenda, perhaps using the job to gather dirt on Nina for leverage later? Delving deeper into Jacinda's backstory adds layers to her precarious position, transforming her from a peripheral player into a pivotal force. That serendipitous night at the bar, when Michael's generous tab pickup caught her eye amid the clink of glasses and jazz melodies, felt like harmless flirtation, a way for her to offload the evening's expenses after a long shift. Little did she know it would thrust her into the heart of Port Charles' most explosive scandal, linking her to Drew, the very man whose misfortunes now define her employment. Working under Nina revives uncomfortable memories. Not long ago, the editor had enlisted Jacinda for a covert operation to ensnare a corrupt congressman, involving laced drinks and staged seductions that left Jacinda questioning her moral compass. Now, echoing those shady gigs, she's treading similar ground, balancing Michael's pleas against Nina's temptations while navigating office politics, rife with gossip about the Corinthos clan. Jacinda's internal conflict simmers, late nights poring over case files in her modest home, weighing the thrill of Michael's attention against the stability Nina dangles. If she's outmaneuvered, it could end in heartbreak or worse, a public unmasking that tarnishes her fresh start. Her street smarts, honed from evading jealous clients and rival operatives, might just be her shield, but the stakes feel higher than ever in this town of endless secrets. As previews tease explosive confrontations, Nina and Drew's alliance sharpens into a laser-focused campaign, all in service of Willow Tate's desperate bid for exoneration. Willow, Michael's steadfast partner and mother to his children, faces mounting accusations tied loosely to the shooting's aftermath. Her freedom hanging by a thread amid courtroom whispers and media scrutiny. Nina, driven by a mix of redemption and rivalry stemming from her fractured bond with the Spencer Casadini Orbitses, pressuring Jacinda as a path to atone for past sins. Drew, motivated by raw survival instinct and a code of honor from his presumed dead days, views the truth as the only way to shield Willow from false blame. In a charged scene at the PCPD, they huddle with legal advisors, mapping out how Jacinda's testimony could redirect suspicion squarely onto Michael, perhaps uncovering evidence like a discarded burner phone or eyewitness discrepancies. Their united front, Nina's charisma softening the approach, Drew's intensity sealing the deal, poses a dire threat. Jacinda, caught in the crossfire, might confide in an unexpected confidant, like a sympathetic Maxie Jones, adding another twist to the unfolding drama. This push for Willow's vindication isn't just personal. It reverberates through Port Charles, potentially fracturing the Corinthos empire and forcing Michael to confront the ghosts of his choices. Ultimately, Michael's impulsive act of chivalry that night at the bar may haunt him as the most regrettable decision of his turbulent life. What began as a simple gesture amid the haze of neon lights and murmured conversations has snowballed into a high-wire act, with Jacinda as the unpredictable fulcrum. As alliances shift and secrets bubble to the surface, Port Charles braces for the fallout. Will Michael's charm hold, or will Jacinda's loyalty prove as fleeting as the city's harbor winds? Stay tuned, as this tangled tale promises more twists, betrayals, and heart-pounding revelations in the weeks ahead.